Sawadee Cup and welcome to another episode for the Funky Pod and for Media Prof Reacts 2. And yeah, this week there's been quite a few of those because there's so much to react to. And this time I react to, obviously as announced, the finale of Season 1 of House of the Dragons. And if you've watched or listened to this podcast before, especially to the Media Prof Reacts ones, you know I haven't been the biggest fan of the House of the Dragon, not always complimentary, was not a fan of those time jumps and so on, still am not. However, that last episode now finally delivered and delivered Game of Thrones style. So I think that's what we've all been waiting for, right? Now you can say, see, we told you. And then I will say, yeah, see, it took 10 episodes until it got started. Like, what the hell? And yes, I understand. Like Game of Thrones, Season 1, you build the world, you make sure everybody understands. Yeah, great. However, was that really the plan? Now you're going to have to wait 2 years for the next season. I think HBO didn't plan it at all. I think they were like, let's see if it catches on, then we just shoot another episode. If they would have planned for the episodes or for the series to last longer, they would have already started production. So I don't think it was all that intentional. And I think, for example, this whole time jump thing, I'm not a big fan of it still. Like, why not work with flashbacks rather than with like this 6 years later or 10 years later? Why? But hey, the last episode was great. Everything came together, drama increased, obviously, children die, and then I saw lots of backlash, lots of hate for like how it ended. I thought for this one time, I thought the ending was perfect. Like, she learns that her son is dead, and then she turns around and her face is all angry, and you know exactly what's going to happen. Shit's going to go down if they actually, in 2 years, come out with a new season. So I think this one time, the last episode was great. It did everything that all the episodes should have done before. The action was there. The plot was moved forward in a not too boring / lame manner, which was great. Things developed. You understood what was happening. No unnecessary time jumps, explanations, or whatever. It was all reasonable. It all made sense, and it had more dragons. So all good. Why not do this the whole time? So, and this leads me now to the quick recap of like the whole House of the Dragon thing, right? So, have we been waiting for a sequel / prequel to Game of Thrones? Yes, of course. Everyone was excited about Game of Thrones, even though the last season was not great, but we all kept it in memory as like that great show that everybody loved, right? Okay, great. So yes, the hunger was there for something like that. So makes sense. Then, have we learned or did we learn to be patient? Yes, we did. So first episode wasn't great. Okay, second one is going to be better. You know, was it episode 3 when they killed Ned Stark or whatever? Later down the road, but you learn to be patient, and you're like, okay, things are building up, but there was no real cool payoff in between that kept you engaged at House of the Dragon, in my opinion. Even though the fight, like with the crab feeder, for example, there was no real payoff then for that. Like, yeah, cool, he defeated that guy, but then where did the story go then? Like, nowhere, right? So I'm not a fan of like it looked a little bit like hasty writing, and I assume this is going to happen now for the season 2 too, because now they're like, oh shit, now we have to deliver, and so now they're gonna start to put it all together quite hastily. In I would assume, like season 8 of Game of Thrones? I think the last season, right? So they're all not gonna throw things together just to be faster, I would assume, because our hunger is there for more now, and so they don't want to let us wait for even more than 2 years, I would assume. Other than that, like I said, I'm not a fan of those time jumps. This was a terrible storytelling technique, in my opinion, that works once, maybe twice, but really not that close next to each other. Like in one episode, it's 10 years and another 6 years. This could have done better, and I think flashbacks would have worked much better there. So just start with the adult characters, have flashbacks. I think, yes, it's a bit more old school. Yes, it's not as unique, but maybe it would have been like clearer there, and I don't think we needed this confusion. Like, if you would have avoided that confusion, people like me my target audience, maybe even like my peers, would have been like more into the whole House of the Dragon thing. Other than that, yeah, I'm not sure how you sell the whole idea of like that there are 700,000 dragons and expect everybody to know all the names of the dragons and what they can do and how big they are and whatnot. So I'm not sure if you can expect everybody to be well read in dragon history, dragon biology, whatever. So I think you have to work with more visuals there. Gonna be tough because it could also be an overload then if they're like all the dragons fight and then there's like the small dragon with the kid and then the big dragon that the other guy stole basically. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they're gonna manage that. And again, I'm a bit worried that time is not on their side, that they're trying to just like hastily put it all together and then maybe disappoint us again. So the negatives: time jumps, storytelling in the very beginning. The narrative arc wasn't that great, I think, last episode notwithstanding. Positives: last episode, it showed us that there is a hunger for this fantasy world, that you can connect to an audience if you do it well enough. So that was good. It goes on hand in hand with another negative is that they will let us wait 2 more years again. So then you're like, what the heck, man? Like, why? Like, now I'm invested and then you let me wait 2 years? Come on. So the only positive, I mean, but that's the main takeaway. The only positive is that, yeah, so they can do it. Last episode showed it. The audience is there. The audience is invested. We, as an audience, I'm just talking for us as an audience right now, we are ready to even forgive them like a few shitty episodes for the payoff. But now we want more. And now you won't give it to us for 2 years, which is, I think, a miscalculation on the sides of HBO. And that's also disappointing. I understand, because I mean it's a budget-heavy production, obviously, so they gotta make sure that they have the viewership for it and so on. But maybe you should have done that with like some tests before, whatever, not just like no, wait and see. I think. But again, that's just me assuming things right now. Yeah. Did it wow me as much as this Game of Thrones wowed me? No. But to be fair, also for the first few years, I boycotted Game of Thrones. I said, I'm not watching this because everybody's watching that hype thing. I'm not. So it took me like 3 or 4 years to actually start watching Game of Thrones. And then I was also hooked, of course, until the last season. So this now got me to watch it right away. So congratulations, well done. But probably mostly because of what Game of Thrones did with us. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt, like, yeah, Game of Thrones related, similar producers, writers, whatever. Let's try. Yeah. Will I watch the season 2 if nothing else is on? Probably. If the hype is big enough, probably. Am I clamoring for it like, I need it? No. What did I like in House of the Dragons besides now the season finale was I did like that some of the characters, like, one thing that I liked is that some of the characters did stick to their principles, for example, right? Or no, for example, some characters stuck to their principles. What I didn't like is that most characters did not. Most characters just changed a lot very easily. Now, season finale, you can see, okay, Rhaenyra changes, obviously because based on the news with her son, obviously, it makes sense. Before, however, characters changed very easily, very frequently. Their stances, their alliances, and so on, which I'm not a big fan of. But again, now probably, I don't know, I don't want to say wait and see because it's 2 years. So, yeah, overall, it's a nice watch, not must see, and I don't think that it actually lived up to the hype, to be honest. Yeah, so if I would have to say success or no, success in terms of viewership, probably. Success in terms of following up Game of Thrones. The last season, yes. Generally speaking, no, not yet. Let's see what happens. Now people say like, yeah, but Game of Thrones just took off like season 2, 3, 4 or whatever. Yeah, but do you always need to sit through not great episodes to just get something good? No, I don't think so, right? So, a bit disappointed there. Okay. Also, I think effect-wise, like special effects and so on, of course, great, nice. It still was more impactful in Game of Thrones. I'm not quite sure why. Let me know why I feel that maybe it's my preconceived, I don't know, notions in regards to that. I'm not going to like it as much. I don't know. Maybe because Daenerys isn't there. Let me know what you think about the effects and everything. So they look great, of course. It's also easier when it's dark. They look great, but it's not as wowing as in Game of Thrones. Maybe because we're used to it now. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what do you think. What do you think about Game of Thrones versus House of the Dragon? Did you enjoy it? Are you longing for season 2? What are the pros, the cons? What did you like? What didn't you like? And am I completely off? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe, like, share this podcast. That would be cool. The channel on social media, it's at funkitpod. Email is funkitpod@gmail.com. I only read nice emails, polite ones. Yeah, don't forget it. Like, share, subscribe. Vote for the podcast. Rate it on Apple, Google, Spotify. That would be cool. We can reach a bigger audience. That would be nice. Until then, stay safe. Take care. Dracarys. Sorry, come.